Nancy Guthrie, 84, vanished from her Tucson home under mysterious circumstances, leaving friends, neighbors, and family stunned. Known as a devoted mother and grandmother, she was the steady force holding her family together. Yet beneath this public image, Nancy had concealed a life that no one suspected, not even her famous daughter, Savannah. Her sudden disappearance triggered a flood of speculation, especially when a mysterious package arrived at the Guthrie family doorstep days later, hinting at a secret life that had spanned decades. What appeared to be a quiet widow's routine hid something far more complex: the matriarch's public life. After the death of her husband Charles in 1989, Nancy became a widow at 47, raising 3 teenagers alone. Friends remember her as selfless, never complaining, and creating a stable home in Tucson's Catalina foothills. She worked part-time as a bookkeeper, volunteered at her church, and instilled her children with resilience and humor. Savannah often credited her mother's grit for shaping her own career and composure. The public admired Nancy as the epitome of grace, the rock behind her children's achievements. Yet, appearances can deceive, and the woman everyone thought they knew had carefully hidden a second identity for decades. The first clue emerges. The first hint of Nancy's secret life arrived in an unmarked envelope on February 6, 2026, 5 days after her disappearance. Inside was a faded photograph of a younger Nancy, arm in arm with an unfamiliar man, standing outside a small Santa Fe cafe. A note on the back read, "She deserved more than secrets. Ask about Eleanor." The timing and anonymity raised immediate questions. Savannah, alongside siblings Annie and Cam, stared at the photo in shock. The date, 1992, just 3 years after their father's death, suggested a hidden world that had existed alongside their family life, one Nancy had carefully compartmentalized for over 30 years. A chance encounter in Santa Fe, Nancy's double life began in 1991 during a rare solo trip to Santa Fe for a church retreat. Still grieving her husband, she met Victor Ramirez, a 45-year-old artist and gallery owner originally from Mexico City. Victor, widowed and passionate about his craft, embodied the freedom and creativity Nancy had long suppressed. Their friendship quickly evolved into something deeper, offering Nancy companionship, excitement, and understanding. Returning to Tucson, she buried her feelings, focusing on motherhood and work. But the connection with Victor persisted, and she began taking secret weekend trips to Santa Fe, crafting a hidden life that allowed her to explore a side of herself she had long denied. Creating Eleanor, the alias of freedom. Victor gave Nancy the name Eleanor, drawn from a Mexican novel they both loved, symbolizing a hidden, fiery side. Under this alias, she became part of the Santa Fe art world, helping Victor manage his gallery and even exhibiting her own paintings. These excursions provided her with creative fulfillment, social engagement, and freedom she never experienced in Tucson. Nancy carefully balanced both lives, the dutiful mother at home and the passionate, adventurous Eleanor in New Mexico. Each visit deepened her attachment to this alternate identity, yet she maintained secrecy to protect her family's perception of her as a steadfast widow, honoring her late husband's memory. The financial footprint. By 1995, as Savannah's journalism career took off, Nancy's secret life had strengthened. She opened a small bank account under Elena Ramirez, funneling modest funds from her bookkeeping job to support Victor's gallery. These financial gestures were small, hundreds of dollars here and there, but significant in sustaining her other world. Victor introduced her to artists, writers, and thinkers, expanding her horizons. Nancy danced at fiestas, debated philosophy over wine, and lived unburdened by the expectations she felt in Tucson. Yet, every step deeper into this hidden life carried the risk of exposure. Nancy's compartmentalization became her coping mechanism, keeping her roles as mother and lover strictly separate. The revelation shakes the family. The photograph arriving in the mail shattered the illusion of Nancy as solely a devoted mother. Savannah, Annie, and Cam were forced to confront a reality that had existed for decades, one that challenged their perception of their mother's life and choices. Savannah admitted that her mother's ability to remain composed and independent may have been both inherited and forged through the hidden pressures of living a double life. Public reaction mirrored private shock, with fans and acquaintances expressing amazement at Nancy's audacity and resilience, even as questions about motives and potential danger surfaced immediately. Santa Fe, A second home. Victor's Gallery, once a modest artistic hub, quickly became a focal point of attention. Locals shared stories of Elena as a compassionate figure, offering art classes to children and supporting emerging artists. Visitors flocked, curious about the woman who had maintained dual lives for decades. Victor, overwhelmed by media scrutiny, temporarily closed the gallery, emphasizing that Nancy deserved peace. Meanwhile, investigators retraced her movements, revisiting Tucson neighbors and interviewing Santa Fe associates. The picture of a life lived fully, yet secretly revealed both the beauty and the peril inherent in decades of secrecy. Unraveling the mystery, authorities now face multiple theories. The presence of blood in her home suggests foul play, while the discovery of secret accounts and the Santa Fe connection introduces the possibility of blackmail or targeted abduction. Investigators are tracing wire transfers to Mexico, canvassing witnesses in Tucson, and examining movements around New York, where Nancy's family resides. Experts note that long-term secret lives often increase vulnerability, as unseen relationships and hidden financial activity can attract coercion. Nancy's story demonstrates the delicate balance between personal freedom and familial responsibility, now complicated by real danger and uncertainty surrounding her disappearance. The cost of dual lives. For 30 years, Nancy juggled the responsibilities of motherhood with her secret life in Santa Fe. She embraced Elena as a way to reclaim lost parts of herself, passion, creativity, and joy, but at significant personal cost. Anxiety, isolation, and health concerns were constant companions. Her vanishing underscores the fragility of living in dual worlds, where exposure can be dangerous and loyalty tested. While the public sees the inspiring figure of Nancy, her story also reveals the complex psychological toll of secrecy, the lengths one might go to protect loved ones, and the vulnerability inherent in leading a double life. Searching for answers. Tips continue to pour in from the public, describing mysterious figures near Nancy's home and potential sightings in both Tucson and New York. Law enforcement and private investigators are tracing all leads, reviewing Santa Fe contacts and analyzing financial records. While speculation runs rampant, the focus remains on safely recovering Nancy and understanding the motives behind her disappearance. Whether she was abducted by a rival, coerced by a blackmailer, or trying to escape her secrets herself, the truth may lie buried within the decades of compartmentalized choices she made. Each clue brings investigators closer to understanding Eleanor and Nancy Guthrie as one. Legacy and reflection. Nancy Guthrie's story challenges assumptions about widowhood, devotion, and the roles women play in their families. She balanced motherhood with an intensely private, passionate life, leaving behind a complex legacy that includes both inspiration and bewilderment. Savannah and her siblings are grappling with newfound truths, learning to reconcile admiration with betrayal. Locals in Santa Fe remember Eleanor as a vibrant, generous presence, while Tucson neighbors recall Nancy's unwavering care. Together, these perspectives paint a portrait of a woman who defied expectations, whose courage and vulnerability now define the mystery surrounding her disappearance and the questions that remain unanswered. Conclusion. A life unveiled. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie has revealed a life lived in parallel, a devoted mother in Tucson and a spirited, creative Eleanor in Santa Fe. For over 3 decades, she navigated 2 worlds, hiding her passions while sustaining her family. Now, with new evidence, authorities, family, and the public confront the consequences of secrecy, love, and personal fulfillment. Nancy's story is one of resilience, deception, and the search for identity. As investigations continue, her dual existence reminds us that even the most familiar figures may harbor hidden depths and that truth often comes with complexity, danger, and revelation.